So how long you were in the modeling role?
Yeah, I think about 5 years.
Wow.
About 5 years in the modeling role, and then I saw a job advertisement on the notice board looking for a digital design engineer in one of the teams there, and yeah, I guess my interest was piqued in that. You know, I had enjoyed the device modeling for that number of years, but you know, I thought, yeah, a change might be interesting, and I applied for the role, and I got it. So then I moved on, and then I became a digital design engineer for, I guess, the rest of my time there, for whatever number, 12 or 13 years probably. I carried on as a digital design engineer, and yeah, that was quite interesting. So yeah, yeah, there was a certain amount of digital needed to be done in the group, but there was more analog than digital. So there was a little bit of an expectation of learning a bit more about analog as well, and I dabbled a little bit, but never, there was more than enough digital to keep me busy, and so I did a few courses in analog design. Got to go to Switzerland, over to Davos to do a course in it, which was great. Do some skiing on the side. But I predominantly remained in the digital space and mixed signal simulation. So my analog experience was useful for me to have sufficient understanding to be able to model the analog behavior and simulate the behavior of the chip by modeling the analog and simulating the digital. So I was by the time I guess I finished at Analog Devices, I was I suppose digital designer / mixed signal simulation guy.
Yeah. So you would do the. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also, I guess, I also had a number of people reporting to me as well. So I was kind of, even though you weren't called a manager in analog, you were called. Actually, I can't even remember what the title was. A supervisor. You were just you were a digital designer and you supervised some people. So it was more like,
so
maybe
that title of manager was not there.
No, correct.
But
exactly.
Now you started supervising people, and how many people you started supervising?
I think at a peak, I probably had about 5 people. So somewhere between 3 and 5 at any one time. Maybe 6 at some stage. I think I may have had. I ended up with a few of the guys in the characterization lab reporting to me, as well as the digital designers. So I had kind of two small teams working with me, and I was managing or supervising or managing. In Intel, it's managing. In analog, it was supervising, and you didn't need to do all the manager courses and stuff. So
okay, but was it a major decision for you that you were, or I mean, how this happened? Is that something you wished for, you looked for, you applied for, or they thought, okay, this guy has a great number of years experience, and looking at your quality, they thought, okay, it'd be good to give you that role?
Yeah.
Were you nervous taking it, or was happy?
Yeah, it's again, it's a little bit. I'm trying to remember back, but I think it more happened by. There was, again, I don't think there was any major plan to it. I'd say what happened was I was probably the only digital designer within the team initially, and then we probably hired 1 or 2 more people, and rather than having them report directly to the manager, they decided, well, the guy that knows a bit about digital, let's put them reporting to him. And then that's kind of how the digital people started to filter in under me. So as we hired digital people, they came in under me. And then I think when it came to the lab, I think maybe I may have voiced some concern that we weren't paying enough attention to the people in the lab, and that you know that and then I was kind of told, well, yeah, okay, we'll get you to do that. So,
Okay.
so I you know, by expressing concern that there wasn't
Yeah.
enough thought and effort going into those folks, I got the job of
Yeah.
actually doing that. So, but
Yeah.
again, it's not something. It's something that I enjoyed. It's an aspect of the job that I just found pretty natural.
Mm-hmm.
So, but because you know, it's not like one day I went to suddenly managing 5 people. I think it crept up on me. You know, one day it was just one, and then
Mm-hmm.
eventually it was 6, and I didn't really notice it happening, and I didn't find it, you know, something that was really difficult. It's something I enjoyed, and I guess I really liked the mix of technical work and kind of supervising or mentoring people. So I just yeah, I found that a pretty nice mix.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. So then, uh, after 20 years, you leave analog devices. How
yes.
how was that, brother?
Yeah, so this was again like all of my career to date,
Yeah.
completely not planned by me.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so analog devices at the time had a couple business units that were underperforming.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the mobile phone chipset business, and you know, at the time, while you know, we were doing pretty good products from a silicon perspective, I think we hadn't invested sufficiently in the software side of things, and I think the other thing was there was pretty low margins in that sort of business. It was very much a commodity business. Analog devices were really into much higher margin businesses than that, you know, high performance DECs, ADCs, etc. So any business unit that didn't have that, you know, that didn't have, you know, a 70% plus gross margin was kind of regarded as underperforming, and I think we were somewhere down around 50 or something at the time. So they decided to sell that business, and so they sold the business, including myself and
Okay.
about 400 other employees, to a
Oh,
company called MediaTek Wireless
oh,
Limited.
okay. I see.
uh, and MediaTek were a Taiwanese-based
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
So now we found ourselves, you know, at the time, there were only 9 people in Limerick that were part of that mobile phone chipset business. So even though there was 400 worldwide, there was only a relatively small number of us in Limerick. So we now had to go find an office for ourselves
Yeah.
and kit out an office and you know, find a place for ourselves to work for
Yeah.
our new company, MediaTek.
Yeah.
So that was a very, you know, it was probably traumatic. You know, there was a
Yeah.
certain element of, you know, I've worked for this company for 20 years and now they're just selling me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, there was definitely an element of, you know, a slight feeling of betrayal at the time. But you know, I mean, at the end of the day, it was just a business decision. There was nothing personal, and it was nothing to do with the people that were working there. So we just got on with it then, and we started looking for offices. And you know, now instead of simulating digital designs, we were driving around Limerick and you know,
Yeah.
investigating different offices in town and in all the different industrial estates, etc., and
But
trying to
were
find
you
the.
among the some of the top management people whose
Well,
job
if,
was to look for offices?
well, effectively, there were only 9 of us in the
Okay.
team, and I was
Okay.
one of the senior people in the
Okay.
team. So by default, we were now the senior management.
So,
So
only 9 people went to MediaTek,
yeah,
even though
yeah.
a large number, was let go
Yeah,
from
no,
the line.
Yeah, no, so only nine in Limerick, but the
Mm.
bigger part of the team were based in Boston.
I see.
So,
I see.
they
I
had a
see.
much bigger, they had a much bigger office. So obviously they would have had more
Yeah.
people probably invested in that. But because there was only nine of us,
Oh, I see.
the onus fell on us to
Yeah,
go
exactly. To
figure
find
out,
a place. Yeah.
go
Yeah.
find the office. Somebody wasn't going to come over from Taiwan and do it for us. So so this was our responsibility basically.
Okay.
So
How did
we
it go then
we
at Biotech? It looks like you just be there for a year and 11 months, is it?
yeah. So it was a very interesting experience, I have to say,
Mm.
and again one that I'm happy that I have gone through, because
Mm.
even though I didn't choose it, it was interesting. So effectively, it felt like being back in a small company, because it
Mm.
was only nine people. We had to
Right.
find the office, and then when we got the office, we had to kit out the office, and someone had to do the IT, and someone had to order the furniture, and someone had to buy the milk each day, and someone had to put out the bins, and so it was a true a true kind of a small company experience, even though we were part of a multinational. So it was great, and then we had to figure out the culture of the company that we were part of and try and fit in there, and it was definitely an eye opener for how different companies work and do business, but. It was an enjoyable experience for the couple of years that we were there. But ultimately,
Mm.
I think MediaTek decided after a couple of years that the site was too small to be
Mm.
long-term sustainable, and
Mm.
they were really more interested in the analog people there than in the
Mm.
digital people,
This. Mm.
because they probably had enough of digital expertise themselves, but they didn't have as much analog experience, and they had no RF experience. So they
Mm.
were very interested in our RF people and our analog people, and less interested in the digital people. But they decided to close the office in
Mm.
Limerick and offer the analog people an opportunity to go to the States,
I
so
see.
and work in the
I see.
States. So the analog people duly turned them down,
Okay.
and all went back to analog devices again,
Okay.
and
Okay.
the rest of us, and the few digital people, then yeah, we went in different directions. But an interesting experience.